Alright, so the objective of this tutorial is to show you how to integrate easily Putty and Tortoise with the purpose of avoiding all those annoying username and password requests that Tortoise often makes when connecting via SSH to SVN. Right, so the first step is to generate a public-private key pair for Putty. The way we do this is we use SSH keygen. We pass it the parameter for the size of the key, the type of the key, the passphrase, which in this case will type in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 for the purpose of the tutorial, and we'll call the key Tortoise key. The key is generated for us, and as we can see, there's two files: tortoise_key, which is the private key, and tortoise_key.pub, which is the public key. Now what we'll do is we'll put tortoise_key.pub, the public key, inside the .ssh authorized_keys file. Let's first check if we already have that file. We wouldn't want to overwrite any other public keys we have. We don't have it, so easily enough we can just move that file to authorized keys. There we go. We can go into the directory and check it out. See, we're doing just fine. It's there. If you already have the authorized_keys file, you'd need to append the contents of the public key at the end of the authorized keys file. Now what we need to do is pick up the private key, in this case tortoise_key. We'll look at the contents of it. We'll copy and paste this into a text file on our Windows desktop. So we'll go right ahead and do that. We save it under tortoise private dot, just without an extension. There we go. So now we have the private key with its contents. What we'll do then is we'll open a program that Putty provides called PuttyGen. Now what PuttyGen does is it allows you to convert the open SSH private key that we generated on the Linux box to a Putty compatible private key. So we'll go ahead and open it up. It'll ask for the passphrase, so we'll put in the passphrase, and there we go. It has successfully imported the key. Now all we need to do is save this private key into a Putty format. So we'll go ahead and call it tortoise private, and we can close the program. We can also exit the Putty session. Now what we'll do is we will open Putty, and for the session that we have, we'll make sure that we have auto logging enabled, so that's under connection data. There we go, I've already put it in there, my username, that it should automatically insert for us, so you should put your username here. And then under the connection SSH auth section of the configuration, we should go here and load the private key. I have already done that, but there we go. Now we have the private key loaded that we just converted into this session, and we've set it to automatically log in with our username. So we should go back to session now and save that session. So now that we have saved the session, we will open the Putty tool called Pagent. It loads as a little icon, as you can see over here, and you can add a key. So we'll go ahead and add our tortoise_private key, and it'll ask us for the passphrase. We'll enter that, and now it is resident in memory. This allows us to log into our SSH session without having to be requested a username or a password, as you can see here. It's worked just fine. So now we will test this with Tortoise. We'll go ahead and create a new folder. We'll call it example. and we will attempt to check out. So go right up there, and this is a note I always like to make. Tortoise uses Tortoise Plink, and Tortoise Plink is a Windows-based Tortoise version of Putty. And although you might have an IP address for your server to do the SSH session, it might not always work. But what is guaranteed to work is if you make sure that you put for the server variable the same name as your Putty session. So this is what we've done here already. I'll go ahead and do the checkout. And as you can see, it is checking out without any problems whatsoever. One final note to make about Pagent is that you need to start it up every time that Windows starts, and every time that you start, you'll need to add your private keys to it again. It doesn't have an autosave feature of sorts. So I've prepared here a little bat program, very simple. It just loads the Pagent tool and passes as the parameter your private key. So you can save this bat file into your startup folder, and every time that Windows starts up, it will automatically load Pagent, will add the private key to it, and will ask you just once for your passphrase. So this concludes the tutorial for using Tortoise with Putty.